So the word it got out on, I guess it was Sunday or it was Saturday.
So it was the incident happened Saturday morning. The word came out, started to come out Saturday.
Saturday, okay.
Yeah.
So
because he was supposed to call a game today.
Yes. Okay, there we go. That is the time. So the word gets out on Saturday that Mark Sanchez has been stabbed, and you know what that means. First, you do the thoughts, then you do the prayers, right?
I mean, Fox was putting out statements.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. A few people with a little sizzle on their breath jumped a little bit too fast, right?
And it's talking about fatherless African Americans.
Yeah. Like they blamed it on black people for stabbing them. But then we got word from the Indianapolis police that Mark Sanchez had been stabbed and arrested, which is a really unfortunate combination of things to be. Get stabbed and get arrested. And then they say they got video of all this that happened, but it's a delivery driver. And what he does is he's 69 years old and he picks up used cooking oil from places. So he had gone to pick up the used cooking oil from the Marriott in Indianapolis. That sounds like a horrific job. But he was going to pick it up and something happened and Mark Sanchez ran up on him for reasons that we don't know. And the man is 69 years old. We want to say this again. And the way that man talked about Mark Sanchez coming out of him, it sounded like the police report from an officer-involved shooting. He was like, hey, man, I don't know what was going on with him and the way that he was looking at me, but I realized that it was a life or death situation with Mark Sanchez. So at some point, he sprays Mark Sanchez in the eyes with pepper spray. Put a pin in that thought. Spray Mark Sanchez in the eyes with pepper spray, and then Mark Sanchez wiped it off and kept charging that buddy until he gets Buddy on the ground. He starts roughing him up. And then my man said he had to stab Mark Sanchez a couple times while he was on the ground. And then he had to stab him again after he got him off him. There are pictures that you can find of this 69-year-old man. And all I can say is I find it highly unlikely that Mark Sanchez will still be charged with misdemeanors when this was over. He fucked that old man up. He came. I will say this about Mark Sanchez. And whatever his future is, I don't have an answer. But I'm going to tell you this. If you are ever caught doing something or hemmed up doing something and people reasonably ask the following question, you think he was smoking dust? If what you've done has made people wonder if you were smoking dust, you ain't coming back from that, brother. Just so you understand that. You are not coming back from that. And I would also say that he got very lucky in the sense, things I learned this weekend, because look, I'm from Texas, okay? And there's a whole range of activities that in Texas, people ain't really readily getting into. And it's like these right here for a very simple reason, which is we be shooting people. Now, I was positive that Indiana was a place that would allow you to do a concealed carry, but I went and searched it anyway. Not only can you do concealed carry in Indiana, you don't even have to get a permit. And Mark Sanchez is lucky that he ran up on the dude who in a life or death situation just goes to his pepper spray and his knife as opposed to the dude that goes to the tool. Because of the way this circumstance is being described, you would have got smoked and he would have got away with it. But instead, he hit you with pepper spray. Speaking of pepper spray, Ryan, I know you've been anxiously anticipating this since I told you a little bit about what my thoughts were about this.
Yeah, I was curious where you're going, and I can't wait to hear.
Okay, so pepper spray is like the underhand free throws of self-defense.
As in everyone should use it because it's the most effective?
So here's the thing about underhanded free throws. And it also dawned on me that some of you are maybe young enough that you don't really know what the story is on underhand free throws. But there was a guy back in the day named Rick Barry. Rick Barry was a very, very good basketball player. Rick Barry was one of the best white basketball players of all time. And people hate Rick Barry's guts. It is amazing how much people hate Rick Barry. It's just stunning, right? But anyway, Rick Barry, when he retired from the NBA, was the all-time leader in free throw percentage. And he shot free throws underhand. That's also known as shooting free throws granny style. You can look it up on the internet if you have not seen it before, but you will look at the way that those free throws are shot and you will say to yourself, man, I ain't about to do that shit. Right. And so there have been a few legendarily poor free throw shooters over the course of NBA history who are also great players. Two that immediately jump out are Wilt Chamberlain and Shaquille O'Neal. Wilt Chamberlain tried everything when it came to shooting free throws, including underhand free throws, which, as I have read, he was better at shooting free throws underhand than he was any other way. Shaquille O'Neal, for all of his free throw struggles, never went to shoot the free throws underhand. And Rick Barry would always make the point that none of these guys will shoot free throws underhand because they're afraid that it will make them look bad, even though it is a truly effective method for shooting free throws. And he always speaks with like a measure of judgment of the guys because they're afraid, just afraid that they're going to look bad. And other people will do the same thing and be like, it doesn't matter as long as you make the shots. Why are you so worried about looking bad? But if you didn't think that looking bad mattered at all, then you would tell a guy like Tim Duncan, who at points was a mere 60% free throw shooter. If you could go from 60 to 80 as a free throw shooter just by shooting underhand free throws, you should do that, right? But nobody tells the 60% free throw shooter that he should do that. And you know why they never tell him that? Because they know that shit looks ridiculous. You understand what I'm saying? Like deep down inside of you, you know why they don't do that. You think that you should only shoot underhand free throws literally if nothing else works. And it is because you fundamentally understand that it looks ridiculous. Okay? So let's talk about pepper spray. Ryan, I've never known a man to walk around carrying pepper spray like this gentleman walks around carrying pepper spray. Never known it. But we all acknowledge that pepper spray is an effective deterrent in the face of violence. Why? Because we view women as defenseless under these circumstances, right? I don't mean to insult or offend anybody, but that's how we talk about women. And we worry when women walk out in the dark and all of these things for good reason, right? And what do we send them out there with? We don't send them out there with guns. We don't send them out there with knives. We send them out there with pepper spray. You yourself feel like you can at least fight. You don't think that she can fight, but you feel like that pepper spray or that mace will do the job. If it would do the job for her, generally speaking, would it not do the job for a man? Maybe we could cut down on all these guns that cats have on the street because you could protect yourself with this pepper spray, which again, we have acknowledged we believe is effective.
You know how effective pepper spray is? They send people out on it on hikes to protect them from bears.
Correct. But can you imagine what you would say if you found out that your homeboy was out here in these streets hitting people with pepper spray? Stay away before I hit you with some mace. We would be so mean to that man. We would be so terrible to that man. Pepper spray is the underhanded free throw of self-defense.
We gotta say you landed the plane. The seatbelt sign was on. I was concerned, but you know, we took some bumps, but you landed it.
It is an amazing thought. We should all. Why don't we all just walk around with pepper spray? We'd be all right if we all walked around with pepper spray. We not gonna do that because we ain't about to beat it. We'd rather get robbed. We'd rather get pistol whipped. We'd rather get our asses kicked than to be like, hit him in the face with that pepper.
No one touched me.
Yeah, he fell back after that. Now, all of that said, the counter argument in this case would be, well,
this is the one time pepper spray was not so effective.
It did not take Mark Sanchez down, which gets us back to my other question.
You can stop a bear, but you can't stop Mark Sanchez.
Right, which gets me back to the other thing. It's not good when your behavior makes us ask the question, damn, boy, you've been smoking dust?
All right, we're going to shift gears here. The The ESPN and The Athletic have reported the Big Ten is discussing a $2 billion deal with private equity. This would include a 10-year extension of the league's grant of rights. The private capital deal and the grant of rights extension have been discussed for months in multiple forms. There is support from nearly the entire league, with a few of the biggest brands, including Ohio State and Michigan, still in discussions. They want to get unanimous support before a vote. Bo, what were your thoughts when you heard this?
Remember that time private equity made something better? What else is there to say? Right? Nobody remembers that time that private equity helps private equity. Those are the only people. I can't believe these people are so thirsty for money that they can't acknowledge that very basic point. This is a mechanism for properties that are in distress. Does the Big Ten look like it's in distress to you?
The Big Ten is getting money from Fox, CBS, NBC. They have their own network.
Yes.
And they could go to these TV places and get more money for their rights at any time. And I mean, they always have, the break glass case for emergency card of trying to go get Notre Dame.
Yes, and they've already killed off competition other than the SEC in so many ways, right? Like they've done this. The problem to me with bringing something like private equity in, and I probably said, if I haven't said this here before, I'm sure I've said it in other places, but the problem is that this is not a profit maximizing industry. People are in this for fun. Yeah, there's money that needs to be made in order to keep putting money back in order to keep things competitive. But people blow money on this. People give money away to make this happen. Private equity is in it to get their money back. This crazy world doesn't work like that. The interest of all these things are incompatible. And then we get back to what I said before. Remember that time private equity made something better? Because I don't.
And finally, Dave Chappelle made some comments that made news while headlining Saudi Arabia's comedy festival on Saturday. He made some controversial remarks. Right now in America, they say if you talk about Charlie Kirk, you get canceled. I don't know if that's true, but I'm going to find out. It's easier to talk here than it is in America. Bo, your thoughts?
I can't believe that these super rich people went to Saudi Arabia just to get this check, right? Like, you have to understand the way that this is going to undercoat whatever it is that you say about yourself upon your return. Like, am I crazy? I can't be the only person that sees how you're just setting, like Bill Burr. Remember that routine? I don't know if it was a routine, but Bill Burr talked about Beyonce and basically how she's just all in it for the capitalism and everything else. And I'm like, brother, you just did this. You just you can't. Right. I feel like I'm not making sense because it just feels so obvious that this is such a ridiculous thing.
I mean, I sort of get it for people like Louis C.K., who are, kind of sort of ostracized from popular site. But Dave Chappelle is still selling out arenas. He's still putting out, Netflix specials.
Yeah. And how about this? You could go over there and feel like you could talk about Charlie Kirk and you couldn't talk about Charlie Kirk in America. Okay. You know who you could talk about in America that you can't talk about in Saudi Arabia? The Crown Prince. That's who. What none of them allowed to make no jokes about the government over there or to make jokes about the play. That was not on the board. So I feel freer to talk about this than I do in America. Saudi people feel freer to talk about they shit in America than they do over there. What is your point? You see what I mean? Like it's not, you're not going to make me believe. And I have been someone who has no problem being critical of my own country because I think you earn the right with citizenship to be able to do that. Hey man, you're not going to tell me that they free over there than over here. You're not selling me on this. You're not doing it. And so to go, maybe I need to hear the tone of the routine, right? Maybe I just don't understand what exactly it was. But I was a bit revolted by some of the people that just couldn't pass up that money.
All these people who go and talk on and on about free speech and cancel culture, go and praise the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, is just going to leave a poor taste in people's mouths.
No, and some of you, it's going to interfere with the way your work lands because I ain't really trying to hear that shit from you.